Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 74 of the Friday Nightmares podcast. Welcome to the new year, everyone. We have survived to 2023. So, I am one half of your hosting team this evening, Mr. Smoke Show Crawford, coming to you from the town of Swartz Creek, in the county of Genesee, in the state of Michigan, in the United States of America, in the North American continent, in the Western Hemisphere, on the planet Earth, in the Milky Way galaxy. Fully vaxxed, boosted and waxed, and ready to climax, and if you can, please get me wet and feed me after midnight. I'm the man with a glorious beard, aka Mother of Cats, aka the man with the humongous ego, aka Scott Housen. I am Smoke Show, and with me, as always, is
Heather Powell from Waterdown, Ontario, Canada. And I have such a boring intro and compared to Scott. But good news, you're going to get to listen to me stumble on it being 2023 for the next 3 months. And Scott knows that we spend probably the first 3 months of every year correcting ourselves. And I know Scott has to correct me all the time. I say 2021s when it's 2022s. So I don't know, though. I turned 40 this year. So I feel as though this year I may get it right on with the year for a change. I'm hopeful.
And if not, I'm here to try to correct the course because with my job, I'm so used to stamping 2023 now that it's just kind of natural because that's just what I do with my job. Got to make sure dates are correct.
You've always been better with the transition. Now, mind you, we started this in 2020, so there was no real transition except from 2020. It was all 2020 stuff, which is crazy because I watched the 2020 movie the other day that I was going to watch the year it came out. I'm glad I didn't. It wasn't that great. But it's just, I always have such a hard time, but you always are fucking on fire with it. Oh, there's Scott's Luna. Oh. Scott's got his pussies everywhere.
And she just slipped and fell. Come here, kitty.
Oh, is she okay?
Yeah, I think she is.
Oh, babies.
My old kitty. She's 17 years old, folks.
Oh, man. She's almost as old as Tim Davis.
Oh, right?
Yeah. You know that he has a hot younger wife that you can recently listen to on the most recent horror. Is it Horror for Dummies?
Dummies of Horror.
Dummers of Horror. I still fucked this up.
Dummers of Horror.
Dummies of Horror? Dummies of Horror?
Yeah, Dummies of Horror.
Dummies of Horror. She's way better than him. Like, I don't know why she doesn't just have a show. Like, why do we have to listen? And he brought up Jaws again. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? Like, can you imagine him on a first date with his wife and he was like, do you like the movie Jaws? Do you like it?
I mean, to be fair, that's me like with any date I go on. Do you like Gremlins? You better like Gremlins. Do you watch Gremlins?
And they're like, what movie? And you're like, get the fuck out of here. You throw your plate down and you storm out. Actually, 2023 has brought some really exciting things in Scott's life. Scott, why don't you tell everybody the recent activity you've taken up?
Oh, you mean this beautiful golden sheen that us Michiganders don't see the sunlight for more than maybe an hour a day nowadays? And I somehow got this beautiful looking tan.
Beautiful bod.
Beautiful bod. That's because my bitch ass is going tanning because in about less than a month, I will be on that cruise ship going to the Southern Caribbeans, where sun is going to be out constantly and my pasty white ass will burn to a crisp. And I do not want to feel uncomfortable on that trip, at least from sunburn. So I'm going tanning every couple of days. I've never done it before in my life. So here's hoping I don't burn the shit out of myself and go too much. But we shall see. But Scotty boy, he's going to get a nice golden sheen. He's going to look pristine. Going to be nice and sexy. Yeah.
Like, honestly, why do we have to talk about your cruise all the time? Honestly.
Oh, don't worry, Heather. You'll get your time to shine talking about your trip to England again. Coming up real soon here.
Scotland. You forgot Scotland as well, Scott.
Oh, sorry. Scotland.
I actually booked my tickets to Edinburgh Castle.
Nice.
I even splurged for the £6 fucking program I'm gonna get. What a fucking nerd I am over here. Fucking nerd alert. So, okay, before we get into this episode, but by the way, folks, is going to be interesting. But so I've been watching some doc series on Netflix because, well, let's be real talk here. There's not much else going on Netflix. Have you watched the volcano one as of late? Have you? Okay, like, so there's this one, and I was at a Christmas dinner, and a relative was like, "Oh my God, this volcano one is so good. You gotta watch it." it's what is it called? Like escaping the volcano or something like that. Anyway, I watched it and it wasn't bad. Basically, these people go to a volcano in New Zealand and it's an active volcano. It's a tour group. And while they're on the island, the volcano erupts. Now, it's just, I don't mean this like it's just ash, but ash comes out, steam and ash, which is horribly dangerous, but there's no lava or anything like that. Like, they're not running away from lava or anything sensational. So,
Yeah, and
anyway.
actually, now that you mention it, I just heard this on the Outside of the Cinema podcast. They were
Oh,
talking about
yeah?
it. Yeah,
Did they
I
like
think.
it?
Yeah, I think Bill by Force had it in his top 10.
Very good documentary, very informative, very, very well done. Here was the only issue I had. So there was a couple that's married that go they go on this, and then they're like, I wish we had known how dangerous it was. I should have done my own research before we went. And I was like, are you a fucking moron? How? Like, and they were so angry at the volcano, and I'm like, first of all, that'd be like going swimming with sharks and getting upset that you get bitten.
Right.
Like, you take a risk when you go on these activities. You're going to an active volcano site. Like, I get that maybe the tour shouldn't have happened, but you can also use some common sense. It's like people that bungee jump off of bridges. You assume they're going to be safe because they're being operated by a tour facility, but you still have to use your common sense or know that you're taking a risk. By doing this activity, you are taking a risk that something may happen to you.
Right.
Like, I'm sure you're going to do excursions. None of them are going to be as risky as this, but there will be a waiver involved. And
Yeah,
you
like-
sign it, knowing that you are taking a risk.
Yeah, and I mean, in hell, even like a lot of because of what I've been reading up on, because what I did my research, because that's what I should do. I'm going out of country.
Because you can use Google like a normal person.
And like I found out there are other excursions I can take that are not part of the cruise, and I will. If I decided to do those, I would be taking a risk of maybe not getting back in time, and missing my boat, or chance of this being getting manipulated into something that is not actually a tour and I get robbed. Like, there's all these different things. So yeah, for my first cruise, you know what I'm doing? I'm sticking to the itinerary that the cruise leaves me with. I'm not going to be doing any crazy adventuring on my own. Hell no.
And like, it's just, yet again, I can understand that you're upset or angry that something happened to you, but common fucking sense. Like, yes, this is a real life horror, and we see survival films like this all the time. Oh, they go somewhere and shit goes down. But like, you went to an active volcano,
right? Like,
now they were American. I hate, of course, right? Because there was a bunch of other Australian tourists that they talked to, and they were all like, "Well, yeah, we took a risk, and this happened." And the Americans were like, "It's like it happened. Like they didn't choose to be there or have the common sense."
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sorry, if you go to an active volcano, you cannot get mad that the volcano may, erupt or whatever.
Yeah, like it's a risk.
Yeah, I was like, because for one, it's like you're going there. That is what you're going there for, to see an active volcano.
Right.
What do you expect? Don't get mad at, like, if it was me, I'd just be like, well, we went at the wrong time.
Right. And like, they got severely burned. I understand their frustration. Like, I'm not downplaying the pain they were in or anything like that. It was just at the end when they're like, oh, I guess I should have done my research. I'm like,
yeah.
What research did you need to do? You were going to an active volcano. Like, I don't understand.
I mean, still do research.
Yeah, but like, I was still like, if I went cave diving and I was like, oh man, like, I don't know. Like, where's the common sense that you are taking a risk? I go to fucking a trampoline park. I take a risk.
Right.
Right. So like, you're taking a risk of whatever decision you're doing. And this is where stupid found footage films come into play. This honestly could have been a found footage of these two just complaining, because it was, like, as I said, I got that they were in pain and shit. But anyway, it's an interesting documentary, not one of the best on Netflix, but it's 2023 and we are down there scraping the bottom of the barrel, kind of like what Rob does for dates on Friday night. Rob Humphreys from Slasher Radio, and what's the other show he does? Slasher Radio and This Horror Life. This Rob Humphrey life. Rob.
Good Lord.
You know what he's gonna think of? He's just gonna go play him back over and over again. Rob. It's like, I wish that was Scott.
He probably would say that.
No one ever wants Heather. I'm just that bitch from Friday Nightmares podcast. No one likes me. No, 2023s don't even like me.
We love you, Heather. 2023 movies may not, but we love you.
So Scott and I have brought the finest to the table for 2023's. This week we got a really creative with what we consider a 2023 because, well, people, as Scott would say, there's not a lot, but there is some
And
gems.
I would say there is actually quite a few like that you can rent on Amazon. I think there was like 4 or 5 that we didn't get to, but just because, for one, a little bit personal information here, but I had to cancel my Amazon due to it getting constantly freaking hacked. So I don't have access to Amazon or
Tim,
Amazon
can you
Prime.
stop fucking hacking Scott and Dave Bailey and everyone else we know? It's definitely them.
Exactly.
It's probably Darren Wilson.
That's totally Darren.
If I know anyone who's anti-government and anti-Amazon, it would be Darren.
Right?
Yeah, I just haven't had the chance to rent it because I'm going away this week. And I'll be honest.
You're going somewhere?
I'm going to the UK.
You're going to the UK?
Yeah, I never said anything. I know you're shocked.
I'm fain shock. Surprise.
This is literally the first time you're hearing about it, so it's very shocking.
So you're just gonna up and leave me, and we're not gonna record, and you're gonna talk all about your trip when we get back, and it's gonna be the Heather show again.
That's okay. Then you're gonna go to the Caribbean.
And I had an orgy with Rosie Palmer and her 5 sisters.
Oh, Scotty, that's a lot of fingers to please.
And you know what? I got really weird looks when I'm in the pool.
Now I can know what's the cruise line you're traveling on?
Celebrity.
Now Scott is banned from celebrity cruise lines. Hey, maybe you'll see the Final Destination movie. Maybe it's being filmed on the ship that you're on.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
You would lose your fucking horn nerd mind.
Oh, I would fucking flip.
It'd be amazing. We should have that happen. Actually, I was like, Final Destination on a cruise ship. I'd watch that.
Well, Final Destination 6, just in general. I'd watch that.
Right? On a cruise ship.
Rob Humphrey.
Yeah, but Rob doesn't like joy, and he just kind of sits at home and plays records like it's 1950. So just leave poor Rob. He actually bought the Taylor Swift record. Like, he bought the record.
The man loves what he loves.
Okay, I'll be honest, and I do find that kind of sexy.
What, that he bought a record, or bought Taylor Swift?
That he bought records. I actually find it really, like, attractive.
I find it make me just go, okay, granddad.
No, see, I think it's like sexy that he cares enough about music that he actually buys like the record. Like, he has no interest in me. He's shown that many a times. I've offered myself and he's not interested. But I think that's sexy as shit. I really do.
No, I was gonna say,
like, I like it's cool.
Yeah, I was like, it is cool. I gotta tease him though, but no, it's because it's hard to collect stuff that's like out of date like that now. Like, I mean, it's still cool though because there is companies that still produce records for bands. Like, a lot of bands still get records made.
It's true. Cool. Records are the hit thing,
Yeah, records are the VHS of music. Maybe
they'll come out with a record horror film like War of the Worlds on record.
Yeah, bring back Laserdisc.
Well, there is War of the Worlds on records. That is a thing. But like, wouldn't that be? Oh man, can you imagine all the horror nerds? Oh my god, I got this vinyl of Halloween on record, and it's just the dialogue of Halloween on record, and it's so good because you can listen to the dialogue, and then you actually appreciate what's going on in the music by John Carpenter. And I just think it's much more unique, and everything that's not in fucking like 70s or 80s films sucks anyway. That's what they would do.
You just insulted half of our listeners.
You know what though? They're all laughing because they're all like, "That's true. That's true." Let's be real. I would buy that fucking record too. And I would listen to the fuck out of that.
Well, the funny thing is, I would buy that record and I probably wouldn't even listen to it. I'd probably have it hanging on my wall.
Oh man, it'd be fucking sick. As much as I make fun of it, because I want it. All horror movies made into records. I would buy a Scream record. Fuck yeah, I would. That shit would be... You know what? There's a marketing fucking genius thing right there. Take
like it's an audiobook version?
Yeah, and you make an audiobook of the horror films on record. Fucking horror nerds would eat that shit, and then you take it to fucking conventions and you get them to sign it. Oh.
See, now I would totally buy Gremlins.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you would. And Tim would buy all the Jaws ones because it's the only film he feels the need to talk about. It has to compare every movie to Jaws.
And I was gonna go back to that too. Like, can you imagine Tim and I on a date? Hey, do you like Jaws? Hey, do you like Gremlins? Hey, do you like this thing? Hey, do you like this?
No, but it would be you just trying to outone each other. This would be Tim.
I know.
Actually, every movie that comes out is basically Jaws. Midsommar. is basically Jaws, because she goes there and she doesn't know that the monster is the people, which is like what Jaws says, because every movie is like Jaws, 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 Jaws. And he's all like, I'm sorry, Heather, don't you have a social political movie to go shove up your ass, you pretentious bitch, and watch?
And he
And act like
wonders
you're
why he calls you that bitch.
and act like you're woke and better than the fucking rest of us, Heather. Don't you need to go fucking do that? Why don't you go eat some kale, your gluten-free bread, and go do some fucking peace
Go drink
march
some maple syrup.
while drinking some fucking Starbucks? I am so that person. I am that person who's like, yeah, inequality. And then I like fucking buy a venti fucking caramel latte from Starbucks and wear my Kate Spade purse out. So, I'm just a walking contradiction.
All you need is a Karen haircut.
Oh, I don't think I'm a Karen.
No, you're not. You're not. No,
I'm not.
you're nowhere.
Tim has said I'm the fun bitch. I'm not because he knows I'm just kidding. I just want to fuck Tim, and the harder I try, that's my goal. Though he did say he would give me babies for Canada. I could have little Aussie babies running around yelling cunt, 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 Jaws, cunt, 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 Jaws. Apologize for that word, but that's what they say in Australia, so it's okay because we mean it in the Australian way, only in the Australian way. It's true though; it's a word of endearment there.
Yeah, it is. 100%.
Not like here. Like when I first started listening to Horror for Dummies, and we would hear them use that language, I was like, oh my god! And then I'm like, oh no, shit, that's just how they talk to each other.
Right, exactly.
Oh, fuck, okay, right. Anyway, I guess we should talk about our 2023s.
Yeah, I'll say we definitely. I mean, as you can tell, folks, we're trying to kill a little time right now because we're
Actually, well, we never get a chance to because we usually have too many movies to talk about because you've
Exactly.
watched 18 billion films.
Yeah, and I was saying I did watch quite a few this like last 2 weeks, but it was just random like older movies and just the mixture of newer stuff and just some documentaries and just watching something to watch it just so I had because I'm desperate for 2023s right now and we're not getting it yet.
Oh, I feel you. I feel you in my bones. Well, I'll start off with the first one. This one is on Netflix. It's dolted as a new release, or like dolted, presented as a new. I don't know, dolted being not even a word. It's presented as a 2023 because even though it was made in 2020, I don't know if there is a way for us to watch it prior to Netflix picking it up in Canada and the United States. So that's why we've counted it. It's called Bloodline. It is an hour and 35 minutes. When an accident leaves a young boy in a coma, his parents' love is put to the test as they resort to a dangerous plan to save him. This is a film that is from Egypt. It is one of the reviews on IMDb says it couldn't be worse. I wouldn't say that for this film. I think that this is a interesting take on a specific lore with children. The twins in it are kind of adorable, I'm not going to lie. I didn't think it was a super amazing movie, but I didn't hate my time with it. Now, that being said, if you are someone like Scott and I, and you like to sample lots of different international movies and and get a feel for what's out there, this is worth your time. It is on Netflix. If that is not you, I don't think you need to watch this for any end of the year lists or anything like that. I don't think this is going to stand out for anybody. So it is called Bloodline, and it is on the Netflix if you are interested.
Now, speaking of something that should be on the year-end list, oh yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. Bring this bad boy up, Scotty.
All right, this one is a movie that I stumbled across on Tubi, because I love my Tubi films. And this one is called Mega Lightning. And the synopsis is, after a violent thunderstorm scares a house party, the guests flee to a nearby home for shelter, only to discover a more sinister hand is at play. Now they can't escape the stranger's home due to the thunderstorm, but they can't stay inside due to the danger that follows them. This is, at first I thought it was going to be kind of like a end of the world nature type film where it's just like, because it's like this lightning storm that is like killing everybody because it's like extremely dangerous, like the bolts like are striking constantly and just like it's killing a lot of people, but it ends up kind of having a twist that turns more into a thriller / horror film because the stranger is stranger danger. And I'd say like for just a beginning of 2023 watch, just something simple, it wasn't bad. Like, it was good to kill time. Acting was iffy. The CGI was like Sci-Fi Channel level, but like I didn't mind it. It was entertaining enough. Like it passed the time. Like it was like 5.5 out of 10, just above average. Like it entertained me at work.
Awesome. Cool. So do you recommend people watch it on the tube?
If you're desperate for 2023's right now, sure. But like I'd say in a couple weeks, don't even bother. It's not even, unless you're like really desperate just to get movies in.
So unless you're thirsty like Scott and I.
Exactly. Like I'm just great. We're scraping the barrel more or less, so we have something we can talk about on the show, and plus just sample things.
Well, we sure do like the sample, don't we, Scotty?
Fuck yeah, we do.
All right, I'm gonna talk about this other fucking gem on Tubi, which I'm pretty sure Lance Lanford's wife from the Horror Returns podcast has on repeat. The Good Wife's Guide to Murder. Be careful, Lance. You better be nice. Maybe I should send this to Jill for Jill Davis.
Hey, there you go.
Help her out. Help a sister out. All right. This is an 84-minute runtime. When an expert in spousal murder is accused of killing her husband, she must use her investigation skills to prove her innocence. This is a campy murder mystery that I threw on because I was hoping there was going to be a little bit more horror in it. There's not. It's a fairly predictable plot. You would have to be living under a rock to not put together what's going to happen during this film. It based around a guy that makes berry beer and runs a distillery craft, and his wife writes horror movie murder podcasts. It's not good. It's on Tubi. I don't know. Don't watch it. It's not. I regret watching it. I told Scott when he's like, "Oh, I scrolled by that." I'm like, "That was a wise decision." Mega Lightning sounds like an Academy Award-winning film compared to this one. But if for some reason you really want to watch this soap opera-y fucking Hallmark with a little bit of an edge movie, it is available on the Tubi, and it is called Good Wife's Guide to Murder.
Nice.
I should have called it Good Heather's Guide to Falling Asleep During a Film. It would have been more accurate.
Oh, all right. So, well, I guess continuing on with Tubi, I am going to talk about a sequel that just came out called Don't Fuck in the Woods 2. I'm going to let everybody know now, I have not watched Don't Fuck in the Woods, the first one, but...
Did you need to?
I was going to say, I mean, it kind of ties into the first movie, it looks like with some of the characters that I guess are returning, but it wasn't necessary for me to follow the plot. Though I probably will, now that I watch this one, I probably will go back and watch the first one because that one is also on Tubi. But the plot of this is the counselors of Pine Hills Summer Camp are getting the grounds ready for the season. While they set up, a mysterious girl enters the camp after a night of bloodshed, and there are things following her as well. Basically, this is, do you like boobs? You're going to see a lot of boobs. Like
boobies.
Lots and lots and lots of boobs. Cheesy acting, very 80s slasher-esque style acting, I guess you would say. Kind of gave me that vibe. Some pretty decent gore here and there. And like monsters that basically try to, I guess, enter you in different ways sexually. And kind of like spawn while they're inside you, like so it actually shows like an up close shot of something entering a woman's woman's vagina.
The JJ.
But once again, I didn't expect this to be groundbreaking or anything like that. But once again, this was actually more entertaining than I expected it to be. It's not like I would give this a 7 out of 10. This was like just very fun movie, ridiculous, silly, but I had a good time with it.
Nice. So you recommend it then?
Yeah, I'll say especially to anybody that's fans of the first one, definitely watch it. And I'd say like, yeah, it's worth just checking out because I mean it's free on Tubi, why not? And as long as you don't mind like tons of female nudity, because I don't even think there's any male nudity in it. I think it's all female.
So I don't get to see any dicks.
No, I was gonna say like because when I told you the title, I was like, oh, Heather's gonna love just the title of that. I'm like, I better pre-warn her. Female nudity, Heather.
Well, and I respect a boobie here and there, but I do like the dick.
Exactly.
And
I know you do. I know you're an equal opportunity nude person.
Yeah, well, I like to fuck too. I would fuck in the woods. Fuck anywhere.
I know, that's why I knew you would love the title of this movie.
No matter where it is. And if I'm under the back of the bar, get the ludicrous song going. All right, so we're going to continue with our Tubi awesomeness, and we're going to talk about Terror Train 2, which I'm pretty sure they just filmed directly after Terror Train 1.
I think they did.
the reason why we're covering this is because this was dropped on New Year's Eve. It's close enough, everyone.
Yeah.
It's 2023. So, the return trip from hell. A year has passed since the series of gruesome murders took the lives of multiple college seniors aboard the now infamous Terror Train. The survivors are coerced to go on the New Year's Eve redemption ride, which I don't get why they all showed up. Did you get why
Yeah.
they were all there? Did you
Like
you watched it, right?
I was gonna say I have about 25 minutes left of the film,
Okay, you're not mismatched.
but yeah, the whole plot of why they showed back up on this train,
Yeah.
like they kept like made sure to say it over and over again. Your therapist wants you to face your fears. Let's put you on the train again. That is the dumbest fucking reason right there.
Yeah, I just didn't quite buy that. Anyway, otherwise it's not a bad little slasher for a Tubi film.
Yeah.
If you didn't really like the first remake, you definitely shouldn't watch this. If you enjoyed the first remake, I'd say watch this if you're looking for something to watch. It's free on Tubi. It's on Crave in Canada. Honestly, like I didn't hate my time with it. Some of the kills were pretty good, or the aftermath of it looked really good. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it, but I think it's not something that I would say people need to run out and go watch.
Exactly. Like once again, this kind of falls in the line of like Mega Lightning to me, where it's just like it's not offensive to the eyes, it's easy to watch, and it's entertaining enough.
Right? It's entertaining enough. I think that's the key thing.
Yeah.
And this was the next one that you watched. So Terror Train available on Crave for Canadians and Tubi for Americans and Canadians.
Yep. And yeah, so the next one I am going to watch came out today, which is Friday the 13th of January. But it is a Peacock exclusive called Sick, and it's a Wildcat, and it's produced by Blumhouse. In the midst of the pandemic, college student Parker and her best friend Miri decide to self quarantine at her family's lake house, where they will be alone, or so they think. Yeah, this is their basic, like high quality, like very well shot, pretty decent acting, very basic plot. And I already been saying on the show that I'm now getting tired of the COVID films, and this one like definitely does the whole right at the height of quarantine during like April, May area of 2020. And like, yeah, it's like everybody's wearing masks. They're like spraying down their groceries when they get in the house. They're talking about social distancing and like making sure to stay 6 feet away from each other. And like it's very generic in that way because we've seen it a million times now. But they do kind of poke fun at it a little bit. I'd say like go into this expecting like a Blumhouse horror film, and you shouldn't be disappointed. Like when I say Blumhouse horror, I mean like the easy made for teenagers type horror film.
Yeah.
Like, because the Blumhouse has done some better, like more mature stuff than this, but this feels more along those lines of like the teenage style horror. It's not bad. It was entertaining. Like once again, like very well shot, decent acting, decent plot, and pace was pretty good.
Yeah.
I gave it like about a 6.5.
It's not bad. It's entertaining, right? And I think
Yeah.
if you're looking for something to watch, it's easy watch. Then you're looking to build your 2023 list. Sounds like probably one of the more palatable, not a waste of time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely one of the more easy to watch horror films, like with like the budget wise. You can tell
Yeah.
it like had a decent budget.
Nice.
But yeah,
And
this
that's
could
just
be-
available on Peacock, right?
Yep, right now it is just available on Peacock.
Okay. The next one both Scotty and I watched, and actually I thought I was into this before Scott was, which was like
Oh yeah.
shocking. Never happens. The Pale Blue Eye. This is a Netflix release. It is 130 minutes long. It is a long one.
Yeah.
A seasoned detective investigates a series of murders at the U.S. Military Academy in West Point in 1830. He is assisted in his investigation by an intelligent and eager young cadet named Edgar Allan Poe, who, by the way, did serve in the military. I actually Googled it to look it up. He did.
Nice.
I don't know if this is a true story or whatever the case is, but yes, he was part of the military. Who will go on to become one of America's most influential authors and the originator of the detective genre. I really liked this movie. I'm not gonna lie. I really fucking dug this film. I found it interesting. I found the acting endearing. I found the characters endearing. I bought into Kristen Bale, Harry Moline. Toby Jones. I bought into everybody. Everyone had acting chops in this film. They were fucking great. Probably not the strongest horror film out there. Some definitely gets horror at the end. Definitely gets horror at the end. Fuck, I thought it was great. I actually think this is a must watch this year. I think if you like Sleepy Hollow, that kind of theme, I think you'll really fucking dig this film. Your thoughts, Scotty?
Yeah, I thought it was decent. I'm definitely not nearly as high on it as you. Like I said, it took me a long time to get into the film. Like if I was watching this at home, I probably would not have made it through. But since I was,
Really?
yeah, just because I was just not invested like at all. I mean,
Mm,
it's nothing. I don't know what it was about the film because the acting's great, the characters are great. I think it may have just been the pacing of the story. And I
mm,
do like a slow burn, but something was just not grabbing me at first. But I
yeah.
but I'm glad I watched it at work because like usually I'll let anything play all the way through at work. Like I don't give up. Um and I'm glad I did because yeah, by the second half I was way more invested. I was liking where the mystery was going, trying to figure out what was going on. And yeah, then that ending, like that third act happened, and I'm going, oh shit, okay. Like I thought it did pretty good. Like it was, yeah, definitely. I think I gave it about the same rating as like Don't Fuck in the Woods for me. Like it's just like
Yeah.
it's a 6.5, 7 for me. Like it was a
Oh,
good
see, like
watch, but yeah.
it'd be an 8.5 for me at least. I
Oh
thought
wow,
I enjoyed it that much. And I didn't think I was. I didn't even want to watch it. I only watched it because I'm like, fuck, there's nothing else.
right?
Like, I'll just fucking watch this movie. God, this is something Scott would like. It's historical drama, and like, oh my god, it's this historical period piece, and I fucking loved it. Like, I don't know. I may revisit again towards the end of the year, depending what comes out this year. Like, I don't know. Like, I really liked the guy that played Edgar Allan Poe. I thought he was quite believable, and I
Oh
got
yeah.
behind him and I was rooting for him. Like he really he touched me in my tra la la. He definitely did. So I don't know. That two very different opinions on it. Definitely, I'm a lot like Scott enjoyed it enough, but I really liked it a lot. So
Yeah,
if you're interested, it's available on the Netflix.
yeah, and like I said, like yeah, it's definitely not the acting. The acting's fucking incredible, and I definitely see where you get the Sleepy Hollow vibes because it's around that era,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also like the color palette for the
Oh yeah.
film has a very Sleepy Hollow esque feel to it.
Yeah.
It's very just kind of gloomy with a bit of like blues and grays and stuff like that. Like
Oh yeah.
but yeah, very well made movie. Very like interesting. Just was not the Scotty Jam that I was expecting, but
That's okay.
yeah, sometimes it's a
Hey,
hit or miss. You never know.
you never know, right? I guess the last one we'll talk about. I guess you didn't see this one yet, have you?
Let me see what it is.
It's Megan.
No, I want to so bad though.
So I went last Sunday night to see this film, so I'm gonna be very careful because like it's probably it's the hottest I think 2023 right now in the theaters. I don't know if there's any other horror films that have come out in the theaters. I think this is the first one to drop.
Yes.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, it's great. That's the only thing I can really say. A brilliant. So Megan is a 102-minute runtime. A brilliant toy company, Robotis, uses artificial intelligence to develop Megan, a lifelike doll programmed to emotionally bond with her newly orphaned niece. But when the doll's programming works too well, she becomes overprotective of her new friends with terrifying results. I think a lot of people here I see here giving it 3.5 stars, 3 stars. Even Rob Humphrey gave it 3 stars, which said something because he doesn't like anything. I don't think who knows, this may hit some people's top 10 lists of the year. It's still very early on in the year, but this is definitely not a shit movie. This is a great take on killer toys. I think there will definitely be a sequel of some kind. Matter of time because I think this was pretty well done, pretty
and
entertaining.
and once
Yeah.
again, horror showing that it can do fucking well in theaters because somehow or another, this little Megan that could was #1 at the box office against Avatar, which is pretty fucking impressive to say the least.
Well, we got some really good acting in here. We got Allison Williams is in this one.
Yep.
Who most people have seen in Perfection and Get Out are probably the most common that people would know her from. Little Violet McGraw was in Doctor Sleep and The Haunting of Bly Manor. So this
Nice.
was a young lady that's had some acting chops to her belt. There's someone that played Megan's voice that was different, or than the
Well,
actual person that played Megan.
okay, because I was just gonna say, because like as far as I know, like Megan was an actual person, just
It
CGI'd.
it was it was, and then there was someone that did her voice that was
Okay,
different. It was really entertaining. I really enjoyed it. You can definitely see James Wan's, even though he was a producer, influence possibly in this film. He didn't direct it, but you can definitely see kind of where the maybe support or ideas came from, right? Jason Blum was a producer as well, and a fun movie. I recommend it. It's in theaters right now. You will not be disappointed. Go check it out if you get a
yeah,
chance to.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is one I really wanted to see. I'm hoping to maybe see it this weekend. We shall see. But yeah, like I am very curious because the director said that obviously they cut it down to a PG-13 rating to
Yeah.
reach a lot bigger audience, but apparently he said it's more effective as a PG-13 as horror as a PG-13 film. But he also did say that when it comes to the physical release, it will be and it's unrated. There will be an option for its unrated cut or something like that. And I'm very curious because he said there was like a lot of violence and gore that was like cut out.
Yeah, I can kind of figure out the areas where he made that choice for it to be released in the theaters, and let me just say, be some good gore to be seen.
Nice. Yeah,
So,
I'm definitely looking forward to this one. This one is definitely one I had been excited for pretty much since I seen the trailer because the trailer just looked like so much fun.
right, right. Well, that concludes our 2023s for now. But don't you worry, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with more to talk about whatever comes out for the rest. We're gonna see some more releases coming pretty soon, so we're gonna have some stuff to talk about. For our older watches, both Scott and I watched The Menu.
We sure did.
And I guess I'll let Scott give his thoughts on it first.
Man, I am so pissed that we did not watch this for our freaking
I
award show.
know.
This would have been in my top 10. This would have made awards. This movie just had everything I love about horror, like in one of my genres of horror that I do love.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's making fun of the freaking elitist people that are always going to these extremely fancy, super expensive restaurants that their food has to have this story to it and all this
Mm-hmm.
shit and it's for like the Instagrammer foodie people. It's for the rich and snooty. It's just amazing story with like this. Like I just loved it. Anya Taylor-Joy as always, fucking amazing. Uh,
Always.
and the little kind of sort of reveal with her character like halfway through the film, I'm going, oh, interesting. And like there was a couple reveals and twists I was just going, oh, I did not see this coming. But man, so many good actors in this. The guy that plays Voldemort is the chef, which I don't remember the actual
Ralph.
Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played Voldemort in Harry Potter. And then yeah, the boyfriend of the movie, he was in Warm Bodies.
Yeah.
And then yeah, John Leguizamo as well. Like there was just a lot of recognizable faces, and man, this was just so much fun. And I was like watching this and I'm going, this would have been like Heather's like number 1 or number 2, I bet.
Yeah, it would have definitely been in the top 3 if I had watched it on time. I thought it was fucking phenomenal. I thought it was funny. I thought it was really good really good humor making fun of things. I thought there were some shocking scenes. There's one story where he talks about being beaten, which is why he was motivated to do this dish. And I was like, yeah, this talks like it was just really, really well delivered. And the ending was really, really good too. I thought everything flowed well, edited well, directed well, acted well, written well. Like it was just awesome. And I do think this was a horror film. I don't know why people would say it's just a dark comedy. I'm sorry, Daniel, from the horror of Dummies. Dummies a horror.
That was a horror.
Like Dummies a horror. Like you wrong. This is definitely a horror movie.
Yeah, I was saying it's like it definitely like for us especially like it's right on that line. Like
yeah.
like it fits right in the cat. Like
if there's enough fucking dark shit that happens in it,
right.
They're basically stuck somewhere against their will. It's like Hostel, only classier. Like it's not far off from some of the shit that happens.
Right.
So if we think Hostel's a horror movie, I would argue this one's a similar flavor. Just
minus as much gore.
Yeah, minus as much gore, right? So anyway, I dug this a lot. Glad I finally got to watching it. I'll just go next. So the other 2022 I thought I'd bring to the table, interesting documentary called The Good Nurse. Movie called The Good Nurse that is located on Netflix. It's about Charlie Collins, who was a serial murderer. He was a nurse that was poisoning people by putting insulin into their IV bags.
Ooh.
And hospitals in the United States covered it up. He went through 9 different hospitals that he worked for where he killed countless people. And
Oh
instead of
wow.
charging them, or because it's a profit system in the United States, they would just basically fire him. And then he would go to another hospital and do the same thing until one nurse who was a friend of his figured out what was going on and worked with the police to bring him to justice. And it's a pretty emotional story, to be honest with you, of what she had to do and what this guy got away with. So it's a good watch on Netflix if you're looking for something. It is called The Good Nurse, and it came out last year.
Nice. I went way further back for mine. So just so I can do this review justice, I pulled up the messages that I sent Heather while watching it. So the movie I'm talking about, it just got brought onto Shudder, but it's Possession from 1983, starring Sam Neill. So I said this to Heather. So I am watching Possession from 1983 on Shudder. This movie is fucking weird as hell, and I have no idea what is going on. Well, besides lots of touching, Sam Neill is in this, and I just need to know why is everybody seductively touching each other. The detective that talks to Sam Neill is like caressing him. The teacher and Sam Neill caressing each other, then laying in bed naked, not touching each other. The secret boyfriend touching Sam Neill. What is it with Sam Neill and everyone wanting to touch him? Why? What's happening? My brain hurts. Then I go on to say, like, I need to know, should I be touching Sam Neill? Am I missing out on a piece of life because I'm not touching him? What is going on here? This movie was just very weird and just a lot of people seem to love it. I don't get it. This was just fucking weird. Like because that was the whole like seductively touching. It's just something small I noticed while watching the film. It's like not a big deal at all, but it's just something I noticed and just kind of latched onto. But man, yeah, for some reason everybody's just like very like softly touching each other and caressing each other while they're talking to each other, and I'm just like, what the fuck's going on? And but then yeah, his wife is acting extremely strange, and she's acting way over the top and psychotic and crazy. It's because she's possessed by some weird tentacle thing that I don't know. This movie is fucking weird. I mean, I'm glad I watched it finally because it's been one that I've heard talked about for a long time. But this was too weird for even my taste.
It was too weird for Scotty. So where can people find it if they also want to be weirded out?
This one is on Shudder, at least for the US right now.
Awesome. I think we should just go through. I don't see the point of taking a break. Are you good to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to just keep going on. We're going to talk about what's new while Scott moves Luna onto his lap, who's his kitty cat. What's new? Scott and I both watched a documentary on Netflix, the Hatchet Wielding Hitchhiker 2023. And this was a exploitation film, a real life exploitation film of someone who's mentally ill and not receiving the help they probably should have got. So what were your thoughts on this film,
Okay,
Scotty?
first, when I first seen like the screenshot, I'm going, this looks vaguely familiar. I don't know why that guy's face looks recognizable to me. And then they show the clip that made him go viral, and I'm going, oh shit, it's about this guy. Okay, I do remember this. I didn't remember like the full story. I just knew the viral video. I didn't know what happened after. But man, how fucked up is it that it's just like, hey, this guy that just saves someone's life by beating someone like on the top of their head with a freaking hatchet, back of the hatchet, then the front of the hatchet, you find out later for part of it.
Yep.
And it's being labeled as a hero and going viral, and then all of a sudden being exploited by everyone in fucking Hollywood, just like trying to just grab this guy to make a fucking reality TV show out of this poor dude, and just like, what the like, this is where it goes to show, all right, Hollywood, back the fuck off. This guy got popular because he was an internet sensation, But like obviously there's something wrong with the guy. He's not fully there.
Yeah.
And it's like I mean obviously these people that are from Hollywood that ended up trying to reach out to him realize that later, but it's like this just
Yeah.
goes to show maybe look into this person a little more before you decide, "Hey, we want him on a television show." It's like you guys be careful. What the hell are you doing? You're ruining someone's life. And obviously he ruined his own life, but
Yeah.
still, like, oh, what the fuck? This documentary just blew my fucking mind.
Yeah, so I never heard of this story. I don't know if this was a big thing in the States and it didn't make it up here to Canada. I had never heard of this ever. So I had no idea who Kai was. So basically, this kid was in a car with someone. I guess there was a confrontation on the highway. He attacked some lady, and so the guy that Kai was with attacked some lady, and Kai beat him up, well, pretty severely with a hatchet to get him to stop.
Yeah, well, and apparently, like, so, and that stuff was just kind of leaked out that he was with the guy, because at first, when the video, like, everybody in the world seen, like, including me, it sounded like he just kind of was walking by, seen this guy beating this woman, and he went over and saved the day, is how it made it sound.
Okay, so
And then
originally
you find
that's
out.
how it was presented, right?
Yeah,
So you see him go on Jimmy Kimmel and these talk shows and like the whole time you're like, oh, we had no idea. I knew from the interview on the
yeah,
roadway that this young man, I assume he goes as a male because he seemed to present as a male and refer to himself as he, was presenting
very,
obviously some mental illness or a disorder or something.
yeah,
And everyone pretended to be shocked that he engaged in this extremely violent act, would sing about the violent act in songs, would talk about violent things and conspiracy theories, and, he murders somebody, and people were surprised. This was a documentary where I was like, there's a whole lot of lack of either emotional intelligence that no one could read the fucking room, or you're all just trying to clear your conscience because you knew something was wrong and you didn't do anything about it.
yeah. I was gonna say because like when I seen this video, because I think this was what 2013, I think is when the video went viral or something like
I
that.
have no idea.
But so I was early 30s. And yeah, like the way he was presented, because you only get to see like maybe a minute clip of him in the viral video
True.
until
True,
the
true.
reporter shows more later on. But like in that 1 minute interview, he just sounds like a hippie, homeless surfer dude that you're just like, oh, he just has that like lovable surfer accent, and
Right,
and it's like,
right.
and no one and you're like, he saved the day, he saved a woman from getting beat and everything, and you're like, but no, like, but it didn't click with you that he used a hatchet on someone, even to defend this woman,
Yeah.
and was like proudly boasting about how he did it. And like at that time, yeah, I didn't think about that. Like, but then looking back at him, going, shit, that is fucked up. And then I didn't know anything about what happened to him after like he became a viral sensation.
Yeah, like this is again, it's funny because what we've talked about so far with some of the documentaries that we brought up in this, whether it's the volcano one, this one, and one that we're going to talk about in a little bit, which is definitely more related to horror. But this is like real life horror shit. You know what I mean? Like this is like a real movie. I could see this being made into a movie one day. Like easily that they'll make this into a horror movie, because it is horrible. It is horrific. And it is very, very layered. So you make a valid point, Scotty, because I didn't even know this dude existed till this week. Like I knew nothing about this. I don't know if it just didn't reach the news up here, or I wasn't watching the news at the time and I just wasn't made aware of it. I don't know, but I wasn't aware. So I think you're right. It's very different 40-year-old Heather Eyes watching this than it would be 30-year-old Heather Eyes watching that. And of course, curated clips, right, that are presented. But yeah, I think for anyone who's interested, I think if you're kind of bummed out on 2023s, we wanted to give you some good docuseries on Netflix right now, and this is one of them. I would say if you're interested, it's a good little watch. It's only about an hour and 35 minutes long or something like that. It's not super long. Check it out.
Yeah, I'll say, yeah, this was a very damn good documentary. Like, and it just kind of shows, like, unfortunately, like people that go viral are not always celebrity material people. Like they go viral whether by accident or just by happenstance, and most of the time it is not a good idea to idolize them. Just want to put that out there.
No, except for Scott and I. Definitely, if you go viral,
idolize me.
We're definitely people you should idolize.
100%.
110%. So for our final segment today, which is Out of the Dark, We're going to talk about two different things. We're going to talk about some 2023s we're looking forward to. But before we get to that, Scotty was not shocked by this, but I was. So we may not spend too much time on it. I watched Lights, Camera, Murder, Scream, which is a documentary that is available on Tubi that talks about the Riverside killer. Riverside?
Shit, what was it? Gainesville Killer.
Gainesville killer, and the inspiration that Kevin Williamson got to write the screenplay for Scream. And it talks about Kevin Williamson knowing of the story about basically an individual that is killing young co-heads, talks about the history of this guy and, you know, the story. And what shocked me, I think, is I thought Scream was super original. I did not know it was based off of this. I didn't dig that deep into knowledge of horror films for years. I still really don't dig that deep. Scott does more digging than I do. I'm just like, they made it. Like, unless like you tell me it's inspired by these events, which I think Scream should have mentioned on the poster. Because it is like really quite a bit. So things that I found eerily similar. The sneaking into people's homes, surprising them in their homes, that was done in Scream.
Yep.
The posing of the bodies, also done in Scream.
Yep.
The illusion that there could be two killers, also done in Scream. And the one guy who ends up being the killer went and watched The Exorcist 3 before he started his killing spree.
Which is interesting because this seems to be a thing with at least a small little similarity with some serial killers, because Jeffrey Dahmer's favorite movie was Exorcist 3, and he made people watch Exorcist 3 with him before he killed him.
Right. So I find it a little interesting. It was young female co-heads that were killed, plus a dude in the original murders, for very similar to Scream. More women than men were killed in Scream. It just seemed to me like there were an awful lot of, besides calling to be like, do you like scary movies? And the Gainesville Killer basically saying he wanted to be in a horror movie. He did want to be famous, though. And they did find a recording of him singing songs.
Yep.
So, like, it just seemed to me there was a lot of similarities. And for me, Scott knew all this. I did not know any of this. And I was kind of like, it kind of took Scream down for me a little bit. Already Scream has kind of fallen from its graces with me over the years, because I've just watched other things and I just like it more. But I was just shocked. So, Scott, because you knew this from the beginning, did you find Scream as original, or is this just me that's gone through this culture shock that it's not as original as I thought?
I kind of because I knew the very outer layer basics of the similarities.
Bless you.
Thank you. But so I didn't realize like the posing of the bodies and stuff like that until I watched the documentary, and like a lot more of the similarities that they go into detail with in this documentary. It didn't change my opinion when I heard about it before, because I just always look at it as, especially when it came to Wes Craven films, even Nightmare on Elm Street was inspired by like another country, a boy saying someone is trying to kill me in my dreams, I'm afraid to go to sleep, and parents make him go to bed and he dies in his sleep. And that was where Wes Craven was inspired with Nightmare on Elm Street. So like horror films tend to be inspired by world events or real life events that, should have this been like stated somewhere loosely based off a true story, or loosely based off a true story, or whatever sure, yeah. But like, to me, I never found it to like change my view of Scream.
Okay.
Like, but I did like find this more interesting, knowing like that there were a lot more similarities that I didn't realize. I did find that very interesting.
If you were a family member of one of the people that were killed, would you be a little pissed? Because I feel like we're a movie like Homolka, or Carla that came out several years ago. That's about it's not really well known, but it's about the Paul Bernardo murders up here in Canada. We had a serial killer named Paul Bernardo. His girlfriend Carla Homolka assisted him with it, and then she ratted him out and basically got a plea deal, and they made a movie called Carla. And the chick from that 70s show, the redhead, played Carla, and it basically recounted the murders of what happened. And it wasn't shown in Southern Ontario because of a petition the families went through. Honestly, I've never watched it either. I probably won't.
Right.
I knew the murders. Like it's just I think it's different. It hits you different when it's from your area. Or what was the Charlize Theron's one that she was in? The
Yeah, Monster.
monsters. So like when you have movies like that are like clearly being like, okay, we're going to talk about and base ourselves on this. As a family member, I feel like that you're aware of it. I feel like for this, it's like they ripped off the concept, and as a family member, I'd be like, and you didn't even acknowledge my people, like that you got this inspiration from this horrific event, and you didn't even acknowledge us.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
people that died that gave you this inspiration. Like maybe I'm wrong for thinking that. I'm not saying that I'm right. I just thought about that when I watched this. I'm like, you were so 50% of your ideas came from this.
right? Like I was gonna say,
Right?
because like yeah, like movies like Monster and like Jeffrey Dahmer and stuff like that, where it's like really talking about it. Like yeah, you should definitely like kind of, and
Mm-hmm.
the one you were talking about, Carla, like make sure like to have the families and victims of the families feelings in mind about this, and maybe even talk to them about it before
Mm-hmm.
releasing this. With Scream, I almost feel because of the horror, do you like scary movies aspect of it and being obsessed horror nerds being the killers,
Mm.
and that there was posing of bodies was done in Friday the 13th and all these other films before it.
Yeah, I get what you're
think
saying.
I think that probably anybody that was the families, the victims of the family or families of the victim
Mm-hmm.
probably did not realize that it was that what it was being copied of. They probably just realized this is just, or thought this is just another horror film, because it does play out like regular old horror film. Like this could have been
Yeah,
any horror film. So I don't see like parent or families being too pissed about this one just for that fact.
I guess so. I just think for me, after watching this doc, and that's just my perspective alone, that it made me just really rethink how original I thought Scream was, and how
Oh,
I
for sure.
thought, and how oh, it re-energized the horror movie. And yes, it's a great film, but I'm like, well, 50% of it, like, and I get it. You get inspiration from everywhere. I'm not trying to indicate that people don't get inspiration from things. Like Megan just came out. It's a killer doll. Like obviously Child's Play and fucking other doll movies, Puppet Master and shit. Like I understand. Like there's inspiration from inspiration. It's just I thought it was an interesting point because I
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
aware. Like
right.
I wasn't aware of all the stuff that was Kevin Williams took inspirational from, right?
I know, because I was kind of surprised when you were just like, "Do you know this was based off something real?" I'm like, "You didn't know that?" Like,
No,
I
I
just thought
didn't.
it was like
I
common
didn't.
knowledge. Like,
No.
because I never did, because me, I like Scream well enough, but I've never done enough to do a deep dive on it,
Yeah.
or do any deep research. I just heard. I think maybe it's just because I'd been in the horror communities for so
Yeah.
long or something. Maybe I just somehow absorbed the knowledge from them talking about it somewhere in a post. Maybe that,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I honestly wasn't involved. I didn't go to conventions. I watched the movies and that was it. I
Yeah.
didn't Googled maybe who the stars were. I knew nothing about them. I've actually learned more from podcasters and horror, Facebook groups than I have from anything else ever. People
Oh
telling
yeah.
me like I don't pursue that stuff. I don't want to say I don't care. It's just not as important to me.
Exactly.
But this I found was really, really interesting. So it's a documentary on Tubi. If you haven't watched it, it's called Lights Camera Murder Scream. It's on Tubi. If you're interested, check it out.
Very,
Now,
very
sorry. Go ahead.
interesting documentary.
Yeah, and it's on Tubi again, right? And you're looking for some, movies to watch, and there's not a lot of good 2023s. We've given you some documentaries that we recommend. Now, drum roll. 2023s that we are looking forward to.
Yeah.
Dottie, what are you looking forward to?
All right. So obviously, like I said earlier, Megan is one that I've been looking forward to, so I can't wait to watch that. But coming up next in February, Cocaine Bear.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Oh, I so can't wait for this movie. It's gonna be so ridiculous and fun. And they even make sure to mention that it is based off of a story, very loosely based off of a story that happened in the 80s. Because basically, the bear did cocaine. It died. It overdosed on cocaine. It didn't kill anybody. But some other ones, because I've only watched a few trailers for some of these things. So like one that I'm really, really looking forward to is Brandon Cronenberg's next film, Infinity Pool. That looks freaking.
Honestly, that looks fucking amazing. And did you see the lineup?
The actors, yeah.
Like Alex Skarsgård, Mia Goth,
Yeah.
mwah. That's probably going to be on my top 10 list. I haven't even watched it yet, and I know it's going to be on my top 10 list.
Yeah, I am so excited for that one. Like that looks so good. And then one that I really didn't have any interest in watching like when I first heard about it being promoted. I mean, I was like, okay, I'll probably watch it just because of who's playing this character. But Renfield with Nicholas Cage playing
Yeah,
Dracula. Like
yeah, that looks pretty interesting.
they released the trailer and I'm like, you know what? I didn't really have much interest besides Nicolas Cage playing Dracula because I know he'll ham it up like he always does.
Oh, he's a
But
ham sandwich.
but when I watched the trailer, that just looks entertaining as hell. I am so down for this. Like I want to see what this is about. And then I got two more that I'm going to mention. Knock at the Cabin, the M Night Shyamalan film.
Night Shyamalan and Ding Dong. Yep.
With what's his name, Dave Bautista. I'm very curious to see
Yep.
him in a role that is not Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, playing more of a serious role. I'm very curious about this to see how good of an actor he really is. Because I do like him. He has a great personality to him. So I think he could do well as an actor. So I'm very curious to see his serious acting chops. And then the last one, I saved it because it is one of my favorite franchises, series, or whatever you want to call it. Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, Tim's not excited for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I will be honest, when they released the poster and gave us a little teaser trailer, I was like, this does not feel like Evil Dead at all. Like in fact, the poster just ripped off Smile. Smile wants its work back, please. Like it looks exactly like the Smile poster. Everything about it. But then the very next day they released the trailer. And I am so on board. This looks like it's going to be fucked up and violent and gory. It's from what they've been saying, it's supposed to be a sequel to the original trilogy. But with the font on the movie poster that says Evil Dead Rise, that is straight off of the Evil Dead remake poster, the way the font is. And then also, when I watched the trailer, this looks mean and very violent, like the remake. Not very silly. The Deadites don't have like this weird slapsticky style to them or sadistic mischievousness to them. This looks more mean violence like the remake was. And either way, if it is a sequel to the original trilogy or the sequel to the remake or somehow ties the two universes together and makes it all one thing, I'm fucking on board. I am going to see this as soon as it hits theaters.
Nice. I may or may not see it at theaters, but I will watch it because I enjoy the Evil Dead movies not as much as you do.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Winnie the Pooh fucking Blood and Honey, man. Like, honestly, I can't wait. It's not going to be that good of a movie, like, at all. It's not. But I want to watch Winnie the Pooh fuck up people for, like, an hour and a half. And it comes out the day after Valentine's Day, which is pretty fucking sick.
Yeah, because it's supposed to have, like, a limited theater release.
Yeah, man, I'll watch that shit. There's something wrong with the children.
Yes, that's one.
A couple joins their friends and their friends' kids on a weekend trip. This reminds me of the British one, The Children.
Yes.
Sounds like a really similar flair coming January 17th.
Did you see the trailer for it?
No, I haven't watched the trailer. I just read the synopsis.
Okay, the trailer looks fucking creepy. I am on board for this.
We have we have the next by, is it Artie Aster who's doing Disappointment? You Was Afraid?
Yeah, Beau is Afraid. Yeah,
Beau is Afraid.
Which was called Disappointment Boulevard, but that's the new title.
But he changed it, right? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that one's all about.
Yeah, that is another one I forgot to mention because like I watched the trailer to that because that got released and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I have no idea. And with it being Ari Aster, I'm like, I'm on board. Whatever
you're
it is,
like,
I'm on
son
board.
of a bitch, I'm in, right?
Yeah.
Insidious 5. I like the Insidious films. I will watch this one. I find them all entertaining.
Yeah, I thought they were I watched all the Insidious for the first time like in 2020 and I thought they were pretty decent. So I'm curious to see what this will be about.
I think we're getting to now we get to September, which we tend to sometimes have some real heavy hitters, and there's one called Cuckoo.
Yeah, it's either Cuckoo or Cuckoo or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, right. And it stars in this. So there's a horror movie about a teenager who moves with her parents to a resort only to find out her new home may not be what it seems. I think that sounds really cool. There's a sequel to the famous 1973 Exorcist film.
That's supposed to be a sequel.
It says a sequel. I think it's a remake, but it says a sequel. I don't know. It looks like a remake to me. Saw 10.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about Saw 10.
Tobin Bell's back. Tobin Bell. Run Rabbit Run is an Australian horror film about a fertility doctor whose 7-year-old daughter begins to act increasingly strange after the strange arrival of a mysterious rabbit.
Interesting.
The Strangers, a remake of the deeply creepy 2008 film The Strangers.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised they're doing that. Not that yet again, like that's a fairly recent movie. I don't know if you need to make a remake of.
Yeah, I'll say it's still very effective, like, and still like very
Pretty relevant.
Yeah, I'll say still relevant
Right.
of the time. It doesn't need an update.
I don't know. Maybe they're just a real big fan, and it's one of the chicks from Riverdale is going to be in it. So I don't know. Maybe it's to just get with the younger generation. I don't know. The Deliverance, and this is an upcoming Netflix film on the real life haunting account. The film follows a mother in Gary, Indiana, whose children appear to become possessed. Salem's Lot.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. I'm curious about that one.
All Fun and Games follows siblings who find themselves in a strange demonic game. The Parenting, a horror comedy about a gay couple who hosts a weekend away with their parents, which quickly turns dark.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
That shit sounds funny. The Night Bitch. Oh, my movie. It follows a stay-at-home nun who discovers that Tim makes fun of her all the time on a podcast. She has to get revenge. Just kidding. It follows a stay-at-home mom who discovers she can transform into a dog, hence the film's cheeky title. That's actually kind of cute. It's probably not that great of a movie, but sounds kind of... Amy Adams is in it. Should be interesting.
Oh, yeah, really, actually. That does sound pretty interesting.
Apparently they're doing a remake of the Friday 13th.
That is going to be a TV series called Camp. It's gonna be on Peacock called Camp Crystal Lake. So I'm curious cool. to see what that's about. Like, I'm keeping my hype level low on it because I have no idea what to expect from it.
You know what? There's one coming out called The Elevator Game. You know, I watched that.
Yeah, I was like, because I remember us talking about that during our Urban Legends episode. And there's also one that I just forgot about. I didn't see the trailer, but I'd read the synopsis on it. But it was Consecration. After the suspicious death of her brother, a priest, Grace, travels to the Mount Saviour convent in Scotland to find out what really happened. Once there, she uncovers murder, sacrilege, and a disturbing truth about her own past. And it stars Jenna Maloney. So it looks interesting. I'm very curious about it.
That's cool. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. There's some good ones coming out that's not a lot has been talked about. The Boogeyman adaptation of Stephen King's The Boogeyman is coming out this year. And The Conjuring 4, which I think a lot of people have talked about. I think this is going to be one I'm going to like. Cosmetic. It tells a supernatural story of a girl's deadly pursuit of perfection. Sign me up. Probably already my number 2 film of the year. Might as well just fucking put it on there now. Yeah, it looks like there's some cool shit coming out this year. Some different stuff.
Yeah.
Different. I like that. I like it. Yeah, you got some like, hey, you want to remake The Strangers? All right. Hey, maybe we'll get a new generation into horror. I don't know. Like maybe they don't really know Liv Tyler is anymore, I guess. It's an easy movie to remake. Right?
Yeah. I was like, hopefully it can be as effective as the original.
Yeah, well, you know. I don't know. Maybe it can. Cell phones are a lot more developed now than they were in 2008 and cell service and stuff. I don't know. Or maybe they're going to go to cabin with no cell service. I don't know. Who
exactly.
knows?
Yeah.
Right.
I'll be curious to see. But like, yeah, I am very excited to see what type of horror films 2023 brings us this time around. Like 2022 started off a bit rough, but it sounds like 2023 is actually starting off pretty strong with some of the stuff that's coming out. So I'm very curious.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how stuff goes. And we don't even really know what all that's going to be dropped on the Shudder. Right. We don't always know what's all going to be dropped on the Tubi. Hopefully Netflix has a better year. Fuck, already with the one movie they've released has been better than the shit they put out last year. So,
and I'm hoping Hulu continues doing some good shit.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's an exciting time for horror fans. Lots of varieties, lots of option.
Yep, and I'm sure we will watch 100 or more, like we always do.
Yeah, I think we'll break. My goal is to break 200 again this year. That's always a goal. So hopefully I can do that. It all depends on my work schedule and shit like that. But and our new format does make it easier. We're no longer having to watch movies to talk about. We will be watching new releases once we start seeing more new releases. And I know myself, I'm becoming a little more picky.
I'm not.
I know you're not. So Scott will continue to watch
The gems.
whatever he watches, right?
Weird Deer
Weird
2,
Deer.
3, 4, 5, and 6. Here we go.
Man, Weird Deer forever. Weird Deer for life. Bitch ass for
Yeah.
life. Bitch ass. Oh man, that was great. So yeah, we look forward to talking with you guys next time. I will be away, but we will probably be keeping on schedule because I said to Scott, more than likely when I return, I will watch horror movies for a couple of days. So even if Scott has the bulk of them to talk about, there's no reason why we still can't do an episode.
Yep.
I'm sure I can bring a handful to the table. So yeah, no harm in that. But yeah, we are, I guess, to kind of close it off, we're proud members of the Legion Podcast Network. You can find Legion Podcast on Patreon. We're underneath the Kill the Cast feed on Legion on Legion Podcasts. We're the Friday Nightmares podcast underneath that feed. And on Legion Patreon, you can pay like $3 a month and you get access to shows early. You get access to extra content. You go into draws for tokens and codes. And honestly, if you're not a member of Patreon yet, like we just want to know what you're waiting for.
What are you waiting for? It's 2023. Why haven't you signed up yet? What are you waiting for? We've been around for a couple years now. Come on. What are you waiting for? There's plenty of good content. You need to check it out. What are you waiting for?
They made a series, I know what you did last summer. I wonder if they'll ever remake it just as a movie. I think that's where they went wrong.
They need to remake it as podcasters like us doing this.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So join the Legion Podcast Network today. We are, what is it? We are many?
Yeah, we are many or we are Legion.
We are Legion. I don't know. We are many, we are Legion, whatever, the same shit is. And listen to all the great podcasts that are on that network. And we'll catch you guys next time. We'll have more movies to share, more stuff to catch up on. Do you have anything else to say to the good people, Scotty?
Just hope everybody had a great new year. Thank you for joining us again. We'd like to see where this new format takes us in 2023 and how many ridiculous films we will watch. But until next time, kiddies, unpleasant dreams.
See ya.